Hi, I'm Tara Palmeri. I'm a senior political correspondent, and I'm back with the second part of my interview with Senator Jim Banks of Indiana, the Senate's new MAGA edition. On this show, we'll talk about Banks' new interest in the MAHA movement, even if the new regulations for cleaner food makes it more expensive to produce agriculture in his home state of Indiana. Without government intervention, typically in the form of subsidies, it could mean higher costs for producers and more expensive food for consumers like us. Will Elon Musk just see these subsidies as more government waste to cut? After all, Elon Musk did say that Americans will feel the pain at first, and Senator Banks seems to agree. What do you think of the MAHA movement? A lot of
I,
my
li-
friends
I
are actually huge fans of it, and I'm in that age, 37 years old. They have kids. They're very concerned about everything that they eat, and like for good reason. Like I lived in Europe, and I remember they didn't use the words organic. Everything was organic, and in fact, they didn't want to do a trade deal with us, the TTIP deal that President Obama was pushing back in 2015, because they were saying you guys put chlorine in your chicken, you have too many hormones in your meats, and that was their big complaint about American products. A lot of those products, though, they come out of, Indiana. Like, are you concerned that there's gonna be a lot more regulation coming out of HHS and the FDA, and it's gonna hurt your industries?
no, I'm not concerned about it. I'm excited about it. You look at the obesity rates in America. 70% of kids in America are obese. I mean, that's a national security issue. We had a decline in recruitment numbers, and some of that was you have less kids today who can serve in the military because of their health. But the strength of the country, I mean, is wrapped up in all of that. So I like the conversation. I think our agricultural industry and economy in Indiana and throughout the country can adapt to it. RFK. I serve on the help committee. We had him testify. Dr. Oz, the new FDA director. I mean, the collective effort of all of these nominees and cabinet secretaries working together to explore these issues can be really good for America for a long time to come. But the
But
political
it's more
dynamic of it.
expensive. It's more expensive to produce organics, to deal with the regulations that would come with that for the actual producers.
Maybe, maybe not.
Then why use pesticides and all that other garbage? You're using it because it's efficient
Yeah, well,
and create more.
these are conversations that I hope we have in the committee, that I hope RFK, that the MAHA movement really shines a light on. But at the end of the day, we spend more on healthcare than any country, by far, than any country in the world. And
Right,
why is that? It's because we have an unhealthy population. So
right.
if we can address that and make America healthy again, it's going to have a economic trade-off, a taxpayer trade-off when it comes to healthcare costs.
Right.
The benefit of that is going to be enormous, I think, for our country.
Then you have to subsidize the industry, obviously, in some way, or we're gonna be paying $10 for a loaf of bread. It's one or the other. Like, it just doesn't happen naturally.
Maybe, maybe not.
Um,
I'm open to that. I mean, is there a public investment that we can make to make this country healthy again? And it's something that we should explore. I know that President Trump is very open to that.
you've said before that you think that there should be an open conversation about vaccines as well.
I have three daughters, and they were all heavily vaccinated as kids, and but should we have more choice in vaccinations? And I mean, I served in the military too. I've had every vaccination that you can imagine when I deployed to Afghanistan. And but I don't know everything about every shot that I took. So I think that this country deserves a conversation about that. I know a lot of parents who aren't MAGA, aren't pro Trump, but they have an interest in the benefits of vaccinations versus some of the unexpected outcomes. The confirmation hearing for RFK Jr. and some of his comments in the past about autism rates, and where that comes from. Why has it risen so sharply in
Don't
recent
you think it's
years?
because a lot of people are having kids later in life, and that's why the autism rates
I
are
don't know. I mean,
rising?
I don't
That's what
know, but
they
I know
say
that
that actually they
it,
say it's male sperm, older male sperm that leads to autism,
I mean,
not
is it? I
vaccines.
don't know, but we should have a conversation about it.
Well, then we should talk about older male sperm. That's the conversation we should have.
Fine, we can talk about that too. But at the end of the day, those are conversations that RFK is
Like, is there a
motivating.
specific vaccine or a case that you saw that that made you specifically think that?
No, not specifically, but I think the country's hungry for this conversation at large.
Mhm.
Vaccinations, the health of our country, obesity rates, the MAHA movement, and specifically, more than any other individual, RFK Jr. has motivated a conversation I think a lot of Americans want to have.
Did you always feel this way? Because I feel like this is different than the Jim Banks who was in Congress. Did they win you over in some way when you learned more about the MAHA movement?
My wife has always been interested in these issues, and in fact, Tara, when I was at the State House, I worked on a number of bills at the state level in Indiana to support farm to fork and giving local farmers, niche farmers, more
Mm.
options. So I did. So to be fair, I did work on those issues at the state level. Congress hasn't provided that much of an opportunity, but the movement behind MAHA is real, and it would be prudent for any elected official in a moment
Yeah.
like this to listen to, especially the moms behind that movement. I can think of a lot of them that transcend Republican, Democrat, pro Trump, anti Trump. A lot of moms that I heard from on the campaign trail running last year that ended up voting for President Trump because
Yeah.
specifically because of this. I mean, that's real. I hear from those people all the time. They expected RFK to have a front and center role in the administration, and President Trump delivered on that.
Yeah, I mean, but are you concerned though that by just suggesting that there might be issues with vaccines, that could have dangerous impacts on our society, like can lead to people deciding to not vaccinate their children, bring back polio, measles, like what we saw in the Samoa Islands? Like, is there any
No,
concern about even?
I trust Hoosiers and the American people. They're smarter than that. So, but they do want, I think they do want a real an honest conversation about this, and that's what President Trump and RFK are going to deliver.
Okay, so you come from a working class background. I know you were the first in your family to go to college, like me. I did learn from your staff earlier this morning that you grew up in a trailer, and that you really know a lot about working class plight. Your father was a union worker. You did say in 2017 that you wished that the tax cuts were more focused on individuals rather than billionaires and corporations. Democrats right now, they're preparing their talking points. Just heard from Chuck Schumer, hit the Republicans on the fact that these are corporate tax cuts that are helping out their billionaire friends. Like, it's obviously a very provocative line. Do you still think that now? Are you, concerned that these tax breaks are going to be helping billionaires and big business rather than the working class voters?
Let's be clear about what we're talking about. 2017, we passed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act
Hmm.
that did a number of things, but it made the corporate tax rates permanent, but it sunset the individual and small business rates. So
Oh.
I voted for it, and it proved to be healthy for the economy. But in hindsight, Paul Ryan and some of the other, again, you talk about the old school Republican Party, they negotiated a tax cut bill that put a higher priority on permanent corporate rate cuts, but sunset the individual rates. And I think that was a mixed message. That was an overall a mistake. Then we should have made the individual rates permanent then, and it should have been the other way around in hindsight.
Mm.
So what are we doing now? The tax cuts today, now we have an opportunity to make them permanent, and that's what President Trump is fighting for. That's what I'm fighting for, because the opposite would be a massive tax increase on working class families. That's what the reconciliation fight is all about. President Trump wants one big beautiful bill. The Senate has a path forward to separate the border and more money for the military, and then the tax bill would come second. I don't care if it's one bill or two bills. We just have to get it done and deliver on that. That's what we have staring us in the face that we have to focus on here very shortly.
Have you thought about, though, I know you said you don't care one way or another, one bill or two. I mean, you're a House guy. Do you think this House bill is a better idea? They only have 3 votes to lose.
Yeah, it's all about the math. I mean, if the House has to do this in one bill, then it needs to be one bill. If the House can't pull it together and struggles their way through it, than what the Senate is doing right now. This week, we're going to do the vote-a-rama, and pass the Lindsey Graham, the skinny version of the part one of the reconciliation package, the first budget bill, $200 billion for military, border security, building the wall, giving ICE more money for deportation. If the House can't, if they continue to stumble their way through it, then the Senate has to lead and pass the first one to give President Trump a win and give these agencies the funding that they need to do what they need to do. So
Sounds like you support that Graham bill. Is that right?
I'll support it. Yeah, but it's the backup plan. The Graham bill is the backup plan to the one big beautiful bill. If they can't get it over the finish line, then the Senate will put this on the table so that the House can take it up if it comes to that.
So a lot of this bill, though, you have to do it through reconciliation, obviously, because you don't have a majority in the Senate, which means that you have to cut from somewhere. But some of the bill is cutting from Medicare and Medicaid. Are you concerned about that
Not in the Senate bill. In fact, I think
in the House
the
bill?
rules the House bill, we'll see what they come up with, and if there are ways to save money by block granting Medicaid to states like Indiana, who can spend that money better than the federal government can. There might be ways to save money in different places. As Doge is pointing out, in all these agencies, there are ways to cut bureaucracy and save taxpayer dollars. So, but the Senate bill doesn't do that. I mean, one way, where there are many different pay fors that address waste, fraud, and abuse, and free college tuition, and some of those things that some of the giveaways of the Biden administration are pay fors in the Senate bill. So we'll see what the House comes up with. And I don't want to speculate about what those pay fors are because we don't know yet. But the Senate bill is moving along rapidly, and I think will pass the Senate by the end of the week.
So you'll vote for it.
Yes.
Are you okay with increasing the deficit to extend the tax cuts?
Well, last time, 2017, we passed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. CBO said that it would cost $1 trillion or whatever they came up with, and it was completely false. I mean, it grew the economy, grew tax coffers, and
Our deficit is
I
growing
expect
every
that.
single day. I mean, every time Congress meets, they have to talk about increasing the debt limit. So it's not like it raised a ton of money either for government.
Yeah, I don't think we can afford to allow the individual tax rates to expire, and a massive tax increase on working class families would be devastating for the economy. So we can't afford to do that. And I think it'll actually help the economy. The economy will react to it and grow tax coffers. And I think there's a good chance that it will be a net positive, that it won't add to the debt. It might help us.
How do you think these Ukraine talks will shake out? I know that you called for a moratorium on aid for the country. Do you expect that they're going to have to cede some land over to Russia?
I just think Ukraine is low on my priority list at the moment. I mean, again, go back to that Senate bill, $200 billion. We've given Ukraine more than $200 billion over the last few years. So wouldn't it be great to have that $200 billion to secure our own border, to support the efforts to make our country strong again? President Trump understands that. That's why he's trying to bring an end to the war so that we can get back to focus on America and what's best for America, instead of distractions like what's going on there.
I've been told by your staff that you have to go vote, but really quickly, I heard you're speaking at CPAC. Can I get a little preview?
One of the big issues of the Biden era was wokeness and DEI, and what that was doing to cripple the American dream and opportunities for kids who come from places like I do to grow up in this country and do better than their parents did. And so in my speech, I'm going to talk about the death of DEI, and how with the stroke of a pen, in many cases, President Trump has ended DEI in the military, in our schools. Corporate America is reacting to it. But I'm going to talk about what that means for America, and how President Trump has ushered in this new golden age by eradicating wokeness in our culture and our country, and why we're better off for it.
Well, there's always the pendulum swings one way and the other, so may have gone one way towards DEI and I guess anti-woke. There may be a reaction to that as well. Are you concerned about that?
I think America would be better. The American dream will thrive by eliminating DEI in our culture, and we'll be better off for it.
A lot of people feel very alienated about this though right now and feel like they're being targeted.
I'm not hearing that. I'm seeing the opposite, and President Trump promised that he would do this on the campaign trail. He's delivering on this and a lot of other things too.